For the first of our 4 quarterfinals. And keep in mind, this Siena team was just an overtime away from being the #1 seed in this tournament, but having lost that thrilling game on the last Saturday of the regular season at Marist, the Saints dropped down to #4. Actually, they tied for 3rd place, but through the tiebreaker system wound up being the #4 team, and so they will start their tournament action here as the #4 seed. Kenny Hasbrook at the point at the moment, but he's moved back to his natural 2 spot with Ronald Moore, his emergence at the point, and Hasbrook blocked on his first shot.
Manhattan will play basically man-to-man defense. Barry Rorson, the former assistant coach at Pitt, and both Ben Hallen as well as Jamie Dixon, both those guys known for their man-to-man defense, and Barry Rorson has brought that here to Riverdale.
And there's a nice looking pull-up for Devin Austin, an auspicious beginning, and no wrap on the wrist. He has been playing through injury, and he appears to be good to go.
Barry Rorson said it was very important for him to try and play through the pain. He said earlier today, he gave him an article about Johnny Damon, the center fielder for the New York Yankees, who played in pain all season long with his foot injuries. He said it was important that Devin, a guy who's a very good player and a talented player, for him to be able to step up and play through that pain here today.
Now, Devin Austin is a 3rd-team All-MAAC star, averaging over 12 per game, and he really can put up points when he is on. He went for 38 points last month in a game at Ryder.
We talked about the fact that on paper, the way that this game played out a week ago when Siena won by 17 points, but the one thing that happened in that game, that Devin Austin and Arturo Dubois were non-factors. They didn't score, played very few minutes because of injury, illness, and also a little bit of disciplinary benching going on as well. So if those 2 guys can step up, then that changes things. Manhattan, when those 2 guys are playing well and scoring it, they are a very different team.
Booley with a terrific look along the baseline to Ngarndi, who will go to the line to shoot 2. Now it's time to take a look at the series history, brought to you by Pontiac, the official performance machines of the NCAA and the MAAC. And in MAAC tournament play, you see they are 2 up and 2 down. These have been 2 of the better schools in recent years in the MAAC and in the MAAC tournament. The winner of this game will move on to the semifinal round at 6 o'clock tomorrow night against the winner of our next game between Marist and Canisius. And then our night games this evening, Niagara versus Ryder, and Loyola and Fairfield, scheduled to tip off at about 10 o'clock.
Ngarndi on the line, the only senior on this Manhattan team, has had a very good senior season, a guy that put up numbers throughout his first 3 years that would not expect him to score it the way he has this year at over 8 per game.
Hasbrook fouled on the drive before the shot. Personal called against Darrell Crawford.
At times, Doug, it's easy to overlook the contributions of Kenny Hasbrook, certainly with the terrific season that Michael Haddix has had and with the attention for the freshman, but Hasbrook very well may be their best player, and certainly he's their most versatile.
Well, he averages over 15 points per game. He has been enduring back pain from the start of the season that flared up in February and probably won't feel 100% healthy until the year's over. Kick ball. So no change of possession. Siena will keep it. Ronald Moore, the freshman point guard from Plymouth, Pennsylvania, will inbound.
And certainly Siena wants to try and push the pace. They're much more comfortable when they're able to get out and run.
Ronald Moore passed to Barry Rorson. He was trying to find his teammate David Ryan, who vacated the spot, and the ball wound up going to the Manhattan coach.
Well, Slice stepped right in, looked like he was ready to shoot the basketball. Don't see many turnovers from Ronald Moore, the freshman point guard. He's done a great job all season long of making sure that he values the basketball. On that play, line was overplayed, went back door, and Moore did not recognize it.
A bank three from the wing. Don't know if it was called, but Darrell Crawford gets the points nonetheless, and the Jaspers off to a quick 6-0 start. And finally, Siena goes into its leading scorer, Michael Haddix, for the first time, and he was fouled before the shot.
Darrell Crawford along the left side. I definitely did not call bank right there, but he'll take it. As you said, the Jaspers off to a quick start.
Hasbrook blocked again. Second time he's tried to penetrate from the wing and has been denied. This time it's Manhattan again pushing tempo, and Fran McCaffrey sees his team come out flat, calls a timeout. Daryl Crawford with a terrific shot, and it's 8-0 Jaspers just like that.
And a very important good start for Barry Rorson's team. As we talked about it, they were a team that came limping into the MAAC tournament, won their last game at home against Iona. That snapped a 5-game losing streak for the Jaspers. Remember, this is a Manhattan team that played very well during the stretch in January, but as we said, coming down the stretch, a much different team. Well, so far here this afternoon, Doug, they've been much different than we've seen in the last couple of weeks.
And teams make adjustments from the regular season to the postseason, and when a team has dominated the other one like Siena did in the regular season over Manhattan, obviously you make changes if you're the Jaspers, but from Siena's perspective, Rob, I would think it would be easy for the players to come into this game thinking, well, we're just going to show up and take care of them again.
Absolutely, especially looking forward into the semifinal matchup, thinking, hey, maybe we've got another chance at the Marist Red Foxes. You see Siena 0 for 5 from the floor here early on.
Edwin Ubilis lost it on the spin, and so the struggles at the offensive end continue for the Saints. Patrick Booley, a freshman from Cameroon. Here's Crawford, another one of the first-year guards. Arturo Dubois into the game for the first time. Back out to Crawford, who misfires, and David Ryan boxes out Ngarndi.
But that's a good sign for Manhattan. We saw in the last game when Arturo Dubois got in, he took a couple bad shots. Instead, playing within the framework of the team, kicking the basketball back out. If he will step in and he will play, then they certainly are a much different team.
Well, you see the numbers. The last 2 games, Dubois has barely been able to get on the floor, and when he's been out there, he hasn't been able to stay on the floor because of the things you talk about, Rob.
Well, sometimes you see kids will end up being in a doghouse, and sometimes it's a coach that puts them in a doghouse. Arturo Dubois put himself in the doghouse. He's a guy that plays with a lot of emotion. He's got to keep it in check, and you know what happens, Doug, too? Your teammates start sensing that. We saw it in the game against Iona. Took a bad rush shot as soon as he was in the game, and all of a sudden he got yanked out.
Siena still looking for its first bucket. That foul was on Dubois. And the Saints go inside to Haddix. First team all-league performer, and he gets the Saints on the boards.
Well, he does a great job of carving out space inside. Good ball fakes, but Dubois smartly did not pick up a second quick foul.
Dubois to the jump hook. And Ngarndi has it knocked away by Hasbrook. Quick up ahead, Edwin Ubilis. Catch, finger roll for 2.
He's a guy who's a terrific athlete. Good catch in transition. That was a tough play. He's a guy that's not afraid to go above everybody and throw it down.
He's a 6'7" wing player with guard skills, and at this level can do a lot of things. The co-rookie of the year for the conference, along with Frank Turner, the point guard for Canisius, who we'll see later on today. Booley's shot is short. Ubilis picks up the rebound.
Well, the Saints have responded since the timeout by Fran McCaffrey. Able to push the pace, get out and run, and they've been able to get the ball into Michael Haddix's hands.
4 points for the senior from Vineland, New Jersey, as the Saints are back in the ball game.
This is the pace that Manhattan is very comfortable playing at. They want to try and grind it out, make it a half-court game. They do not want to get into a track meet with the Saints.
Dubois again defers and then tries to post up.
Well, it looks like he's come to play here tonight. Looks like he's come to be part of the team.
Haddix with an acting job. Didn't get the call, and Booley buries the 3.
And look at the guy with the assist, Arturo Dubois, kicking it out. I asked Barry Rorson this morning, how do you think he was going to react? He said, well, we had a good practice up here yesterday, and he was hoping that Arturo Dubois came to play.
Haddix has it blocked once by Dubois, keeps working, then goes to his dominant side and banks it home.
Now, that was a tough finish because Dubois was able to push him off his spot, yet he still was able to score it.
Ryan picks the rebound clean, and here comes Ronald Moore. Hasbrook, tough pass to handle, catches and shoots and can't make it. Austin with the rebound.
Yeah, good pass, and maybe he's now able to step right in rhythm, but instead it was down at his feet.
As you talked about, Rob, both of these teams rely heavily on freshmen. Another one of the Siena freshmen at the scorers table to come in at the next whistle, Alex Franklin. Dubois carves out a little space, misses on the 15-footer. Ubilis steps into the jump shot, and they call it a 3. That ties the game at 11, and Barry Rorson calls a timeout.
Well, after that quick 8-0 start for Manhattan, Siena responded after the timeout from Fran McCaffrey. Been able to change the pace of the game, getting out in transition, and they were also able to pound the basketball inside early and often to Michael Haddix.
Well, it looked to me like the toe of Edwin Ubilis could have been on the line, and I got the sense that one of the officials was about to say it was a 2-point shot, but we'll see if we get a better look. It was close, but it does go into the books right now as a 3-point shot, and Ubilis has tied the game at 11 apiece. Now, Ubilis averaging nearly 12 points per game. He was offered scholarships coming out of high school, or actually out of prep school, from UNLV, Seton Hall, and UMass, and decided to stay close to home. He had played AAU ball in Albany with the City Rocks and decided to stay in the Capital Region and play his college ball. Pretty close.
Tell you what, looked like it was at least worth the look from the officials, but they did not go to the monitor to check that out.
Yeah, I was surprised that Coach Rorson didn't question it. It was right in front of him, but I think he was more worried about the fact that Siena's on a run and needs to settle his team down. Devin Austin, meanwhile, answers with a clear 3 at the other end, and that takes us to our media timeout. So we'll take a break. Fran McCaffrey's Siena Saints down 3 early in the quarterfinal round of the MAAC tournament.
Canisius College in the city of Buffalo, one of 28 Jesuit universities across the nation, offering more than 70 undergraduate and graduate programs in the liberal arts, business, and education. Canisius prepares graduates to become leaders in their professions and in their communities. Personal attention, internships, service learning, and co-curricular activities provide opportunities to expand leadership skills and launch successful careers and lives. Canisius College, where leaders are made.
Welcome back to Bridgeport, Connecticut for the Bank of America MAAC basketball tournament. Our coaching matchup brought to you by Anaconda Sports and The Rock, the official basketball of the MAAC. And you see Barry Rorson out of Xaverian High School. Played his college ball at St. Francis of New York in Brooklyn. And Fran McCaffrey is a Philadelphia native who played his college basketball at Wake Forest for a year and then transferred back home to play for the Penn Quakers. Bad pass, ball loose, and Pearson picks it up. There's Booley ahead of the field, but he can't corral it, has to save it. And Ngarndi is bottled up, and Ryan steals it back. Siena with numbers. Corey McGee, another freshman just off the bench with the finish.
A good decision once again by Ronald Moore out on the break. He's a guy that can play at a couple different speeds, comfortable in the half court, but also very comfortable leading the break.
Manhattan scored the first 8 points of this afternoon's ball game. Siena has gotten right back into it. And Ngarndi not a threat to shoot from the perimeter. So he goes up and misses off the window.
If you're going to run, you have to rebound the basketball. The Saints' last couple of possessions, it's been one and done for the Jaspers.
Ronald Moore misfires on the 3 that could have given Siena the lead. 12:30 left to go first half. 3 freshmen around the perimeter for the Jaspers. Devin Austin, just a sophomore, and then Guy Ngarndi, the lone senior, on the floor. Austin, who's gotten off to a quick start, short on the runner. Ryan with another rebound.
But he's been aggressive. He's not been passive out there on the floor, and that's certainly a good sign for Manhattan.
Hasbrook left alone. This time he gets the runner to fall, and Siena has its first lead of the afternoon.
And there's his versatility. Shows the basketball. He's good enough three-point shooter that you've got to respect it. So he's able to get by deep into the lane and hit the runner. Siena, after starting off the game 0 for 5 from the field, you see they're up to 50%.
Well, they got Michael Haddix involved and have gotten some better-looking shots. For Hasbrook now, he's got 800 career points, and he's just a sophomore. Having had a big freshman year last season, he's on pace to be one of the all-time greats at Siena. Booley, meanwhile, gives the Jaspers the lead back.
Certainly the three-point shot has not been a big factor for Manhattan all season long, although they're knocking down threes here so far in the early going. They average just 4 threes per game and shoot it at just 28% coming in.
Well, my goodness, Rob, we talk about how good the freshman class is for Manhattan, but those 3 guards, Pearson shoots it at 29%, Crawford 21%, and Booley 28%. We've got a timeout on the floor. Kenny Hasbrook and the Siena Saints trying to punch their ticket into the MAAC semifinals.
"450 years of Jesuit tradition are woven into a Fairfield University education, an education characterized by academic excellence and service to the community. Fairfield's success is fostered by a caring faculty that knows their students as individuals. Located just an hour from New York City, Fairfield University combines a park-like campus conducive to learning with the city's cultural and career advantages. Fairfield University, where education reflects the challenges and opportunities of a changing world."
Back in Bridgeport, Manhattan holding a 2-point lead in this 4-5 game. The 4th-seeded Saints against the 5th-seeded Jaspers, who have gotten a good start from their sophomore star, Devin Austin. Good to see that the young man out of White Plains appears to be much more comfortable out there this afternoon, Rob.
He's on the MAAC all-league team, the 3rd team, because of his efforts throughout the season, but much of that was done in the early part of the season. And he struggled late with the wrist injury and was not the same player at the end of the year that he was throughout January and even before that in December.
Shot clock down to 10. Pearson uses the screen from Ngarndi. Tries to get it back to Ngarndi. Can't do it. Franklin picked off the pass. And Ronald Moore, tough bounce pass to handle. Haddix has it. Blocked by Ngarndi.
A good recovery to get back with their transition D.
Crawford knifes to the basket. It rims out. McGee with a rebound.
Another good opportunity for Manhattan out on the break, but they've not been able to convert. And when you don't convert on the break at one end, you get quick, easy shots at the other end.
Tay Fisher missed it, but I believe it was McGee who tipped it home.
And again, missed shot in transition at the one end for Manhattan. And then Siena is able to get out and run.
4 quick points for the freshman from Fairport, New York. That's in the Rochester area. And the game is tied once again at 17 apiece.
Certainly a lot of the attention throughout the season on the freshman play of Ronald Moore along with Edwin Ubelis, but Fran McCaffrey quick to point out how well both Alex Franklin has played and even Corey McGee coming down the stretch when he's settled into knowing that he's had consistent minutes.
Pearson given lots of space because of the shooting percentage, and he makes him pay for it with a beautiful swish.
And again, 4 for 7, Doug, from beyond the three-point line here early on. Now make it 5 for 8 for Manhattan. This is a team that did not shoot it very well from deep all season long.
There's Franklin, who goes down in a heap, taking the foul. And it appears with some help he'll be able to get back to his feet. And Ngarndi picks up the personal, and Franklin, who began his college career with a 20-point effort at Stanford, will go to the line. Pretty good way to get things underway.
Well, certainly a guy that pretty big expectations coming in, and he's lived up to those when you look at his numbers on the season, averaging just under 8 points per game and just under 5 rebounds, and those are in limited minutes as well. You know, he's a guy, if he got a little bit more time and averaging just 22 minutes of play, if he got some more time, his numbers would have been good enough to be on an all-rookie team.
No doubt.
Yeah, he's a guy that's got a bright future. This whole class does for the Siena Saints.
Now they are, the officials are over to the scores table taking a look back at a replay.
Well, to see whether or not Pearson's deep shot was a 3 or a 2.
He certainly landed inside the line, and boy, from that I would guess that his right foot might have been on the line. It was kind of obstructed by Booley. Here's the clear look. Is the right foot on the line? No. I would say no. That's a 3.
Yep, remember, it doesn't matter where you land, but where you take off. And very close, but it looked like his foot clearly was behind the three-point line, and that's exactly the way that they keep it. So Manhattan, with their good three-point shooting, 15 of their 20 points, Doug, from beyond the three-point line, again from a team that shot it at just 28% coming in.
Well, the foul on Ngarndi, his second. And so he has been replaced in the lineup by Brandon Adams, a freshman from Yonkers. Alex Franklin misfires. He is the 4th leading scorer for Siena this year. Like you say, just a touch under 8 per game in limited minutes.
Yeah, 22 minutes per game, so he's been a solid contributor all season long. He's really like their 6th starter, but part of a very good freshman class. All 4 guys have bright futures.
This is the first of 4 men's quarterfinals at the 2007 Bank of America MAAC tournament. Along with Rob Kennedy, this is Doug Sherman. Glad you could join us for the start of our 4 games. Both of these schools have green as their color, but because the Jaspers are the 5 seed and Siena is the 4 seed, the Saints are in their home whites and the Jaspers in their road green. Defenders shading against Haddix to try and help out Adams, who picks up the foul. Adams with an inquisitive look on his face, wondering what he did. That's his first since just coming off the bench for Ngarndi.
Well, it's hard not to bump and bang Haddix inside because he really shapes up very well, gets himself down nice and low. And if you're going to play big in the post, that's what you got to do. You can't be standing straight up and down. You got to make sure you sit down in the post.
Ronald Moore being hounded by Pearson, keeps the dribble, look away pass. Haddix with a chance for a 3-point play.
He's got that great lower body strength when he sits down into the post to shape up, but he's also got very good upper body strength, as you saw right there, fighting right through the contact. Pearson nearly came up with the steal, but instead, nice feed on the freshman point guard Moore to find Haddix, and then he takes care of the rest.
Well, Haddix never played football, even though his dad was an NFL running back. But you would see him as a good football player. You can see him as a tight end, you know, great hands, big enough, strong enough, and not shy to create a little contact.
If he was on the defensive front line, I'll tell you what, if you were a quarterback, you wouldn't want to see him coming running at you.
He's 6'6", 255 pounds or thereabouts. Long arms, long fingers, great hands. He is a rarity, a low-post player in the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference with all of that ability with his back to the basket.
And a guy who's very comfortable playing inside in the post. A lot of times you got bigs that want to be guards. He's very comfortable sitting inside.
How about Antoine Pearson, and how about the Jaspers? Another 3-pointer, and that, too, was a perfect swish with great release and great rotation.
Every once in a while, you just got to step up and feel confident. That was deep. That, as you said, beyond the 3-point line for the NBA, that little thin pencil line that's out there. I was just about to say, after bullying this the last 3, that they better not start all of a sudden thinking that they're a 3-point shooting team. That guy's a 3-point shooter. The all-time leader in New York State high school history, Tay Fisher, this year at just 33%. But you know, Doug, that those numbers have really pulled off. Got off to a slow start shooting the 3, but coming down the stretch had been much more effective.
No question about that. Austin has it rim out.
Again, if you're Manhattan, don't start settling for all those 3s. There's a reason why you shot it at 28% all season long.
Whistle and a foul before the shot. We'll take a break. At the arena at Harbor Yard in Bridgeport, Connecticut, Siena has taken its first lead.
It's a college in the city, a college in the country.
It's big.
It's small.
It's modern.
Traditional. It's Frisbee on the quad. It's big-time basketball at the Garden.
It's the best of all worlds.
Manhattan College. A world-class faculty and student body on a beautiful, quiet campus, minutes from the center of everything.
So come be a part of it. Manhattan College.
The best of all worlds.
I know most of you just graduated high school last year, or maybe you've been working for a while, seen some things, done some things, but nothing has prepared you for what's going to happen now. We're going to set goals for each of you, way up here, way up here, and then we're going to help you exceed them, believe it. And when finished, you're going to have not just a degree, you'll be a different person, a better person. Welcome to Iona.
Aspire, achieve. Iona. Call Iona College at 1-800-231-IONA.
Back in Bridgeport, Connecticut, Siena has taken a 1-point lead on a Tay Fisher 3-point shot moments ago, but it's been Michael Haddix, his broad shoulders, that has led Siena back into the ball game. He leads all scorers with 9 points. This for the 6th all-time leading scorer in school history.
Playing to their strength, the strength of Haddix inside in the post. He is a load to handle inside. Brandon Adams picking up 3 quick fouls, trying to defend inside against Haddix, and that's no easy chore.
Well, Barry Rorson, the Manhattan coach, said earlier this week, quote, Haddix is a beast.
Yeah, he is.
And we are seeing proof of that here in the first half.
Now Arturo Dubois back into the game. Doug, he certainly passed the first test here of the first half. When he came in off the bench the first time in, he had good energy. You see 8 Manhattan fouls, most of those trying to hang with Haddix, the beast inside. But now Dubois has to make sure that once again, after sitting for a little bit, that he comes back in and plays within the context of his team.
Fisher picks Pearson's pocket. And now the junior guard slows things down.
And notice when he's in transition, he's not worried about getting to the rim. He was starting to veer out to the three-point line.
Terrific post move by Alex Franklin, showing you some of his skills on the low post.
And Siena's a team that really takes advantage of their two-point shooting. Most of their field goals, 80% of their field goals, are from inside the three-point line. Not afraid to go throw it into the paint.
There you see the Jaspers with atypical accuracy from beyond the arc. Trying it again, Devin Austin. And as you said, Rob, you got to be careful not to go away from who you are. Tay Fisher knocks the ball over the Siena bench and out of bounds.
Talked about the fact that Alex Franklin's had a very good freshman year. Shows the ball, nice spin as he's got a height advantage inside against Booley and takes advantage of that.
Well, people talk about the slam dunk prowess of Edwin Ubelis, but that young man, Alex Franklin, can pretty much hang with him dunk for dunk. 6:10 to go first half. Booley with the basketball, guarded by Hasbrook. Here's Pearson, who has had the hot hand, and on the penetration is fouled by Fisher, who on the last possession picked his pocket. This time Pearson got the better of it.
I got a sarcastic roar from the Manhattan section behind us here. They must have seen that graphic we threw up before with 8 fouls for them to just 1 on the other side for Siena.
Well, things like that do not go unnoticed by coaches or fans. Here is Dubois, guarded by Ryan. Booley on the pick and roll. Back to Dubois, right to the rim for 2.
And hey, Manhattan is a completely different team when he comes to play. They've gotten effort as well from Devin Austin. All of a sudden, a 4-5 matchup starting to look like a 4-5 matchup that you would expect.
A block shot by Dubois, who stands strong and denies Franklin.
Tell you what, I give him credit, and also Barry Roberson. It would have been easy to bury Arturo Dubois. Instead, he's given him an opportunity, and Dubois has responded.
And I'm telling you, having seen their last 2 games of the regular season, I never would have seen it coming.
They were an absolute shell of themselves, and we talked about they had lost 5 consecutive games and were not competitive in that game up at the Times Union Center in Albany.
Hasbrook from downtown has it trickle out, and there is Dubois pulling down the rebound.
And that's effort. You know, he's going after loose balls on the rim, and he's giving them good effort and energy so far. And this is a different Manhattan team when he does that.
Well, last year as a sophomore, Dubois averaged 15 points and 8.5 rebounds per game. The numbers dropped off dramatically this year, but the ability is still there.
Well, and he was the second-team All-MAAC selection, not for how he finished, but how he started.
Well, the coaches felt he was a first-teamer in the preseason. Ryan with a bounce pass to Haddix. And Dubois the last to touch, but he's hustling on the hardwood, and you can see he is into it.
Absolutely, and when he plays like that, he's got the talent to certainly be a guy that can dominate the game. See Dubois trying to get involved, not afraid to go to the floor. And we've seen that. Had a 30-point performance earlier this season against Iona, game that you and I had, where he just took things over coming down the stretch. There's what we were talking about. Paint production for the Saints, not afraid to go throw it inside to Haddix. It's a big part of their offense.
15 on the shot clock. Nice up fake by Moore. Misfires on the runner. Rebound comes to Hasbrook, and somehow the ball winds up in the big hands of Michael Haddix, and he's got a dozen.
He snatches it out. Nobody's going to take it away. Able to go to the other side. Very efficient. 5 for 7 for the field for Haddix.
Well, Siena's won 7 of 8 coming into the MAAC tournament. Trying to ride that momentum to a Monday night appearance in the MAAC title game. The Jaspers, meanwhile, they started the season in the MAAC play with 6 wins in their first 7 games against conference opponents. Little leaner by Austin, and that pulls the Jaspers back within 2.
This is the only thing that Manhattan hasn't done well, and that's their transition defense. As we said, the Saints want to get out and run, and they've been able to do that because Manhattan has fallen asleep a couple times, especially after scores. You score the basketball, you got to make sure that you get back because Siena not afraid to go run it down your throat.
Pearson's pass knocked away by Moore. And then the foul given up by the freshman point guard of Manhattan College.
You can't compound the first mistake of turning it over by reaching in and picking up the silly foul.
Michael Haddix playing a big role for the Siena Saints. He's got 12 points to lead all scorers.
Hey, Ted. I'm going to have to let you go.
It's the beard comb over, isn't it?
Yeah. It really makes me question your decision-making abilities, Ted.
What if I start drinking Sierra Mist free? It's free of calories, but it still has that great lemon lime taste. That would be a good decision.
Drinking Sierra Mist free would be a good decision, Ted, but I'm sorry.
Suddenly there's some norm that I don't get. You know, it's just...
This is Siena, a college that builds competence and character, where you're part of a team, a place of academic rigor that builds leaders, offering opportunity and values that prepare you for change, leadership, and life. The tradition, the community of Siena, educating for success, one student at a time.
Everything's getting faster, sexier, and yet less expensive. So, why not cars? Say hello to the G6 sedan, G6 coupe, and G6 hardtop convertible. G6, one of the fastest growing brands in America. Pontiac, designed for action.
Back in Bridgeport, Siena with a 4-point lead, and Rob, my old high school coach Bill Solomon used to call it the 2-point try. You make a basket, you get happy with yourself, and you don't get back on defense.
Well, transition defense or lack thereof from Manhattan. As we said, the one thing they have not done is hustled back. That's allowed Siena, a team that wants to try and push the pace and get out in transition, a couple easy scores.
So the 2-point trot back, and we saw Devin Austin, we saw Arturo Dubois among the guilty parties to allow Kenny Hasbrook to get the quick and easy 2 at the other end.
Again, some teams, you know, you can score it and you've got time to settle back in because you know they're going to play in the half court. That's not the case with Siena. You know that part of the scouting report is that we've got to lock down and concentrate on transition D.
David Ryan called for the over-the-back foul off the free throw miss by Moore.
So far, the Saints dominating fast break points, 8-2 over Manhattan.
David Ryan will go out after having picked up his second foul. Alex Franklin back into the game. Booley at the point for the Jaspers out there with Austin, Ferguson, Dubois, and Crawford.
See both teams shooting the ball fairly well. Manhattan, especially from beyond the three-point line, even though they've slowed down a bit. And Siena just dominating the paint. A big advantage inside, led by Michael Haddix.
Good ball movement by the Jaspers to get the open look by Booley, but he came up short with an air ball. With 12 on the shot clock, the Jaspers will keep possession.
And Doug, that's the 13th three-point shot attempt for Manhattan here in the first half. Certainly they've made 6 threes. That's well above their season average as they come in making less than 4 threes per game. It's not really a big part of their offense.
Booley tries again from the left corner. Nice tip by Austin to Ferguson, and the Jaspers with another offensive possession. Now Ferguson will try it. Can't get the roll. And Haddix finally corrals the defensive rebound for Siena.
They're able to get some extra opportunities, but again, settling for too many threes.
Dubois steps up again to block Franklin. This time it's Austin who meets him at the top, but number 23 in green gets the foul call. Barry Rorson can't believe it.
Well, the trail official, Joe DeMeo, coming a long ways to make that call. I think that's what he's just asking him nice and quietly over there. Good defensive rotation. Again, Dubois doing a good job staying on his feet, and looked like that was a good block as well. Tough break for the Jaspers.
And as Barry Rorson finished his discussion moments ago with Joe DeMeo, he was smiling when he last looked at Joe, and then as he turned away, rolled his eyes.
Sometimes that's the best way to get your point across. You don't have to yell and scream and jump up and down and carry on the sideline. He just said, you know, it might have been a little deep for that call coming in.
Alex Franklin with the free throw. He's now got 4 points, and you see the foul discrepancy so far, and that certainly will get Coach Rorson's attention.
But remember, Siena certainly very comfortable dumping the basketball inside. When Haddix has it, they're going to put some pressure on you defensively. There's a reason why they get to the line a lot.
And on the flip side, the Jaspers have been in love with a three-point shot so far and not been penetrating as much. Austin, as the Jaspers continue to cool off from beyond the arc, as the statistics would lead you to expect. Ferguson picks up the foul from behind, and Hasbrook will head to the line.
Well, might not have been the two-point trot there, but again, lack of transition defense. Sprinting back, finding your man.
Well, they call Ronald Moore the Maestro. That's his nickname, and he certainly sees the floor very well.
What he does as well, Doug, is he does it at a couple different speeds. He's comfortable in the half court. The lost art of feeding the basketball into the post. So many guards can't throw it into the post. He certainly can. When you got a guy like Haddix shaping up inside, you can't miss him. But he's also very comfortable out on the break.
Pearson comes back in, replacing Ferguson, between free throws by Kenny Hasbrook, who picked Siena over University of Rhode Island, over Jacksonville. Winthrop offered him coming out of Maine Central Institute as well, and we know Winthrop's in the midst of a terrific season as well, but Hasbrook has found his niche and said he's thrilled to be at Siena and plans to stay there for the full 4 years.
Well, Fran McCaffrey's first recruit, that certainly has worked out well. He was the Rookie of the Year, and then they backed it up with a second consecutive Rookie of the Year. So Fran McCaffrey and his staff doing a terrific job reloading, getting some new bodies in here. Their recruiting efforts have paid off big time.
Haddix with a travel. Nice defense by Austin to force the turnover.
Well, the weak side defense a help to come on over. If you're late rotating, Haddix will certainly make you pay for it.
Well, Hasbrook also received recruiting interest, and some serious recruiting interest. No offers, but from schools like Georgetown and Illinois late in the process. But again, Fran McCaffrey and his staff wound up getting a diamond in the rough in a lot of ways. Well, our co-rookies of the year for 2007, Edwin Ubelis for Siena and Frank Turner for Canisius. The lightning quick point guard for the Golden Griffins, who we will see later on today as the MAAC quarterfinals continue. Ubelis, meanwhile, has had a relatively quiet first half. Here in this ball game so far, he's got 5 points.
As did Turner last night in his first game in the MAAC tournament. Just 5 points, but 40 minutes. You know, so even though he didn't do much, he had just 3 assists. He's still out on the floor the entire game for Tom Parada's team. The guy that can really make them go, and one of the reasons why they've got a very good chance in this next game, even though it's 1 versus 8, Marist versus Canisius. Canisius, a tough matchup for the Red Foxes.
That's the ball game coming up right after this one. Dubois misfires on the second as well, and it was Ubelis up above the rim for the rebound. Moore, tough pass to handle. Haddix couldn't get that one, and so it's turned back over to the Jaspers.
And important for Manhattan to finish off what's been a very good first half. They get off to the quick start. They don't want to get into the locker room trailing by too many.
Triple team on Dubois. He makes a bad pass with Moore coming along with Hasbrook.
And then he doesn't get back. He's still now just barely crossed half court. So that terrific effort we saw during stretches, he's got to make sure that he brings it on each and every play.
8 points now for Hasbrook. He is the second leading scorer on the season for Siena, a point behind Haddix, and they have been the 2 offensive catalysts here in the first half.
They're not the finish that Barry Rorson was looking for here in the first half. Again, they played well. They knocked down 3s, but not much to show for it on the scoreboard as they trail by 7 right now.
Pearson appeared to shuffle his feet. Instead, it's Austin driving hard to the rim. Dubois working hard and gets the putback with 3 seconds to go in the half. This is Kenny Hasbrook. Lost it on the way up. We've got a whistle. And a foul on the shot against the Jaspers, so Hasbrook will shoot 3.
Oh boy, a tough way to end the first half. Barry Rorson's team looked like they might have gotten a big bucket on the offensive putback. He's working the officials over there. Instead, Hasbrook with an opportunity to stretch the lead out to 8, and that would certainly be a bit demoralizing for Manhattan. Playing well, but as we said, not much to show for it on the scoreboard.
And so Hasbrook at the line to shoot 3. He's a 79% foul shooter.
You see the reach in right there defensively. Crawford trying to pull his arm back as if to say, oh, I didn't mean to do that.
But it clearly occurred before all zeros came up on the clock. Folks forgot that it was a 3-shot foul. And so fortunately the officials were keeping track, and so Hasbrook at the line waiting for his 3rd and final shot with no time on the clock, although they should put 0.2 of a second, I believe, back up there.
Yep.
Coming up at halftime, the MAAC News and Notes. Also a conversation with Barry Rorson, enjoying his first season with the Jaspers. He led them to a 10-8 record in league play and trying to make it into the MAAC semifinals with an upset here today, and also our highlights and statistics from this first half of action. Hasbrook gets 2 out of 3. He's into double figures with 10. And that'll do it. But Siena, after falling behind 8-0 to begin the half, goes to the locker room with a 7-point lead. We'll take a break and come back with our halftime report from the arena at Harbor Yard in Bridgeport, Connecticut. Siena on top 38-31.
Certainly had a big advantage during the first half, and then they had their defensive focus as they were able to hold the Jaspers to just 40% shooting from the floor.
Verizon Wireless, we never stop working for you, and much like the end of the first half, the beginning of the second half, the Jaspers missing from 3. Arturo Dubois, the X factor inside. They need to further involve him when he's on the floor.
Well, he came to play, brought some energy, bought into what was going on as far as his team was concerned, and he's got the ability to be a big-time factor in this game if he does that again here in the second half.
Quick timeout called. We'll take a break from the arena at Harbor Yard in Bridgeport.
It's a college in the city.
A college in the country.
It's big.
It's small.
It's modern.
Traditional.
It's Frisbee on the quad.
It's big-time basketball at the Garden.
It's the best of all worlds.
Manhattan College. A world-class faculty and student body on a beautiful, quiet campus,
minutes from the center of everything.
So come be a part of it. Manhattan College.
The best of all worlds.
For your entertainment, music, movies, games, and more.
Well, Siena shot the ball very well, 50% from the floor. A lot of that was done in transition and in the paint, 24-8 advantage as far as points in the paint are concerned.
Siena shooting the ball well, getting good distribution in the scoring column. 2 players already in double figures. Hasbrook, one of those 2, and he picks up the foul, trying to defend Crawford on the shot. Second foul on Kenny Hasbrook, the sophomore who began the season as Siena's starting point guard, but a few games into the year moved over to the 2-guard spot to allow Ronald Moore to take over the show.
Crawford putting the ball to the floor and getting to the basket. That's what they've got to do. Doug, you and I have been talking about that. Falling in love a little bit too much with the 3-point shot. Knocked down some threes early. It became fool's gold. Since then, they've gone ice cold from beyond the 3-point line.
Crawford out of All Hallows High School in New York City. That's a school that has a point guard that's earmarked for Siena next year. Chris De La Rosa coming out of All Hallows. Moore and Ubilis, the 2 freshmen, break the pressure. There you see the Jaspers have missed their last 6 3-point shots. And as you say, Rob, a little fool's goal. And this is against the MO of what you expect from Manhattan. Shooting that many threes and particularly making that many threes.
Don't expect a whole lot of zone from Manhattan, but they go zone on this possession.
David Ryan with his first points of the afternoon.
Ryan, one of those unsung heroes, the perfect fifth starter, a guy that Able to knock down timely threes, handles the basketball, does a lot of little things for this Siena team.
He redshirted his first year, so he's a fifth-year senior. He and Haddix both fifth-year seniors. Ryan, with his share of shoulder injuries a couple of years ago, has played through it all and played several different positions. Crawford with another three, and that's 7 in a row missed by the Jaspers. Hasbrook, given space, comes up short, and Garndy the rebound. Pearson, Booley, Austin, Crawford, and Ngarndi, the starting 5 here in the second half for Manhattan, in their traveling green uniforms. They are the 5th seed in the MAAC tournament. Siena is the number 4 seed, and the winner of this one moves on to the semifinal round tomorrow afternoon. Devin Austin gets the roll on the 3, and so the Jaspers pull back within 5.
Well, it looks like it's going to continue to be a big part of what they're doing here today. See Austin coming with a lot more energy, playing through the pain of the wrist injury. He's had a good game here so far this afternoon.
Austin in double figures to lead Manhattan. Ryan makes it 2 field goals in a row, so after a quiet first half, the senior from Eastchester, New York, with 4 quick points.
And we're seeing his versatility, able to post up inside against the zone. That time a nice little curl, rebound at the other end. All the little things that you need to be a winning team.
Here's Pearson. Young man out of the Bronx, drops it off to Booley. Nice change of hands. Ronald Moore with the rebound. He'll dribble up himself.
But again, Crawford attacking the rim. That's where they've got to go.
Ryan spotting up beyond the arc, and just like that, he has caught fire.
Oh, he started talking about him, and he started responding. He's got the knack of knocking down timely threes. That one stretches the lead out to 10.
Well, he's a 3-year roommate of Michael Haddix and the 2 seniors. As we talked about yesterday, if you're going to have a good tournament and make it to the NCAA tournament, you've got to be led by your seniors.
Well, active inside, calling for the basketball, is able to step into the middle of the floor and then step it out to the perimeter as well, able to knock down the deep 3. Comes in at 39% on the season. 48% from beyond the 3-point line last year. See the Saints not taking nearly as many threes, just 7 attempts, but an efficient 3 for 7 from beyond the line.
If you're Barry Rorson, do you try and discourage your guys from taking so many threes with the way the pendulum is swung, Rob?
Well, you got to encourage them to put the ball to the floor and go attack the rim. You don't necessarily want to say, hey, let's not take so many threes. If good open ones present themselves, fine, but get back to doing what you do well. Put the ball to the floor and attack the rim.
And I'm curious to see how much longer Arturo Dubois will stay on the bench, because if you're looking for something in the paint, he's clearly the guy to go to for Manhattan.
Well, the first half, he came into the game after the first media timeout. I suspect we'll see the same here at the next whistle.
Haddix went down hard, comes up shaking his left hand, and at the other end, the Jaspers turn it into 2.
Well, we've seen Siena get out and run and take advantage of some late transition defense. Manhattan doing just that.
Ubilis misses the mid-range jumper. Patrick Booley dribbles up. Terrific look, and Garndy waits for Haddix to go by, and here come the Jaspers. It's back to a 5-point game.
You can see a little energy on the bench from the Jaspers, sensing that they've gotten themselves back into the game. Extending into this half-court trapping defense, haven't gotten much out of it. But by the time Siena's had to settle back in, they've been able to defend and once again force another turnover.
This time it's Ubilis, the guilty party. And the Jaspers are on the move, cutting a 10-point lead down to 5. They'll have the basketball when we come back to the arena at Harbor Yard in Bridgeport, Connecticut. It's the 2007 Bank of America Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference Tournament. We'll be right back after this. Manhattan on a mini 5-0 run to cut a 10-point deficit back to 5. And Siena allowing Manhattan to hang around. But again, as the 4th and 5th seeds, you would expect this to be a tight ball game.
Well, last year, Siena was the 4th seed, lost in the first round to St. Peter's, the 5 seed. As St. Peter's was able to make the run through the MAAC tournament all the way to the finals behind Kiki Clark.
15 seconds to shoot as the Jaspers look for a good shot. Booley pulls the trigger from 20. And just like that, it's an 8-0 Manhattan run.
Well, throughout the season, that wasn't a good shot. Booley, a guy that struggled from beyond the three, but apparently today, that is a good shot.
Here's Ronald Moore, who lost the dribble. David Ryan hustles to avoid the turnover, and Moore gets it back. Ronald Moore with an interesting stat line right now. No points, but 8 assists. Ubilis kicks to Ryan, who's been hot in the second half. And there's another one. He is 4 for 4 from the floor, and that snaps the 8-0 Manhattan run.
Another timely three from the fifth-year senior, David Ryan. Ubilis has been quiet. Talk about how do you get the open look. Nice screen by Devin Austin to give up his body to allow his teammate Booley to get the open look. Booley stepping up as if he's a 38% shooter from beyond the three instead of the 28% that he's been all season long.
Well, the Jaspers have certainly been shooting that three with confidence. This time on the drive, David Ryan picks up the foul. Foul number 3 on Ryan, so something to address. While his offense has been instrumental here in the second half with 10 quick points, it looks like he's going to have to head to the bench with that third foul.
A very quiet first half as he did not score in 9 minutes, but he's been a big factor on the offensive end, and that now becomes an issue because he'll sit with those 3 fouls.
David Ryan is considered by his head coach and teammates as the glue guy. Doesn't get much of the glory, but does a lot of the little things. There you see the young man who will get his degree this spring. He's 3 credits shy.
As you were talking about, Doug, the glue guy, a perfect fifth starter, a guy that's got versatile skills, can defend, plays hard, brings it every day in practice, and then on top of all that, has no egos, not worrying about scoring the basketball, just doing whatever his team needs to win ball games.
Ubilis into the paint, can't get the roll. Haddix, who's yet to score here in the second half, ultimately gets the rebound and then is fouled by Pearson.
Now Pearson was a little lackadaisical going to get the loose ball, and by doing such, he allowed Siena to come up with the ball. And then again, we've seen it a couple times, compounds the mistake and not hustling quick after the basketball, compounds it by giving up a quick foul.
And that is how Pearson has picked up both of his fouls here today. Hasbrook turns it over as he stepped on the end line, and so the turnovers in the second half beginning to mount for Siena. Saints in the first half took care of the basketball pretty well with only 5 turnovers, but they've got 3 so far here in the second half. Crawford pulled the trigger. Nice looking shot. Just couldn't get it to fall. Moore with a rebound.
There's where they were able to get out and run in the first half. Manhattan's done a much better job so far here in the second half, Doug, of getting back and taking away easy baskets on the break.
Hasbrook, the entry pass to Haddix, and the foul on Guy and Garndy.
They can't play behind him in the post. That's easier said than done because Haddix does such a great job of sitting down in the post. We talked about it in the first half. If you're going to carve out space, you got to get yourself low. If you want to be big, you got to get yourself down. Terrific post entry, and then able to just pin everybody on his back because of that terrific lower body strength.
And with that, Dubois will re-enter the ball game after Ngarndi picks up his 3rd personal foul.
Where art thou? He's been on the bench throughout the first half. We saw energy, some good work on the backboards by Dubois in the first half. Let's see if he can continue to bring that here in the second. They're going to need his physical presence, especially as Haddix starts to take over inside. The first 2 points for Haddix here in the second half as he now has 14.
And again, as we said, the Manhattan head coach Barry Rorson describes Michael Haddix as, quote, a beast. And he certainly was the beast in the first half as Siena took the lead. Austin from 3.
But again, Dubois' presence inside forces him to double down. His teammate got an open look.
Nice move to the basket, but then a wild left-handed shot by Hasbrook, and Ubilis brings it back out to Moore. 15 to shoot. Ubel posting. Instead, here's Franklin driving strong to the basket with his own version of a wild left-handed shot, and he gets bailed out and will go to the line to shoot two.
He gets bailed out because Austin swings down. You saw Austin pushing his off arm as if to say, hey, I got pushed off. He may have gotten that call if he doesn't swing down here late. See the follow through as the official from behind whistles him as he slaps down at the basketball. Play it straight. Maybe you do get that call, as Franklin was the guy that initiated the contact.
And so that's foul number 2 on Devin Austin as Franklin hits the first. And now Siena will go with 4 freshmen on the floor. McGee comes in to replace Hasbrook. And Kenny Hasbrook is the seasoned veteran as a sophomore.
The veteran with that group.
This is something that we saw in Saturday's regular season finale in crunch time of the second half. Fran McCaffrey not afraid to put all 4 freshmen out there. And it certainly worked out as the Saints were able to push the Red Foxes into overtime in what was one of the games of the year in the conference.
Siena with the zone defense. Got to get out and guard the three-point line apparently today. Also, though, out of the zone, an opportunity to try and get some defensive help inside against Dubois.
Crawford with the nice reverse on the offensive rebound. He's got 12 to lead the Jaspers.
He's a good athlete, quick to the basketball. You see 12 points so far. Crawford continues to score it late in the season.
12 minutes left in regulation. Siena led at the break by 7. Moore has it knocked away. Dubois and Crawford. Here comes Pearson on the reverse, and the Jaspers just keep hanging around. It's back to a 4-point game.
And good decision to go to the reverse instead of finishing on the left side. Crossed over to make sure that he avoided the defender trailing.
Certainly the Manhattan defense has been better here in the second half, forcing turnovers, and that time turned it into 2 points. Franklin with the 15-foot shot in the face of Dubois.
Able to face up against Dubois. Dubois much more comfortable defending in the low post, forced to step out and guard on the perimeter.
Pearson at the point.
Again, the zone defense allows them the opportunity to get a couple bodies inside against Dubois.
Pearson, a little short that time. Dubois with the offensive rebound. He goes right back at McGee, and he lost the handle.
He's turned it over a couple times. Does a good job creating an extra opportunity off the offensive board, but then gives it away.
Whistle and a foul off the ball. And he has relied heavily on his second recruiting class this season. Franklin, Ubelis, Moore, and McGee still out there. Now it's Tay Fisher, the junior guard, who is the, quote, veteran on the floor. And this is Tay Fisher with the basketball. Ubelis couldn't handle the entry pass. It goes out of bounds, and Manhattan gets the ball back.
Talked about all those young players and their impact that they've had. You take a look at how they've improved their conference record. Fran McCaffrey came in. They were a team that was picked to finish dead last in the MAAC. Yet they were able to win 10 games and get the number 4 seed last year heading into the tournament, and improved on that this year, winning 12 games.
Nice pass. Crawford with the lay-in off the dish from Dubois. It's a 4-point game.
And again, they keep hanging around, and the longer that this game goes on and the longer that they hang around, they certainly start giving themselves some confidence.
Ubelis trying to work Dubois. Along with Rob Kennedy, this is Doug Sherman in Bridgeport, Connecticut. It's game 1 of quarterfinals Saturday. The Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference Tournament. We're at the arena at Harbor Yard with Manhattan taking on Siena. The Saints, the higher seed in this game, the 4 seed, Manhattan the number 5 seed, and the Saints have been playing from ahead here in the second half, but the Jaspers in green hanging around, and Arturo Dubois with the tip in to make it a 2-point game.
And his presence starting to become a factor. The zone defense has to collapse in on him. He's been unselfish, get rid of the basketball, and by doing such, he gave himself an open lane to go get the offensive rebound and put back.
And almost right on cue, Fran McCaffrey will bring his veterans back in. Tate Fisher, who hit the go-ahead 3 in the first half, hits a big 3 here in the second half.
And every time, Doug, over the last couple minutes, that it looks like Manhattan's gotten themselves right back in the game. Siena's been able to hit a timely three-point shot. We saw a couple of those from David Ryan. That was an important 3 right there by Fisher.
3-point try for Austin, and he answers back with a big 3. Barry Rorson's club back within 2.
You can see the coaches fired up. The bench is as well. Just their third 3 in their last 13 three-point field goal attempts after starting on fire from beyond the three-point line, knocking down 6 out of their first 10.
Rob, Austin, and Crawford share the scoring lead right now for Manhattan, 14 points apiece. Franklin draws the contact. Cooley with the foul. And so the freshman for Siena will go to the line.
Fran McCaffrey's had an opportunity to rest some of his veteran guys, including Michael Haddix. And now when these guys get back into the game, let's see if that rest and fresh legs pays dividends.
There you see the numbers for Alex Franklin, who, based on his minutes per game, is a very, very productive first-year player for the Saints.
As we said, he's basically their 6th starter as veterans come back in. Michael Haddix, it's been a while, Doug, since they were able to pound the basketball inside to Haddix, who was a dominant player in the first half.
This season, Arrow Postal will donate a T-shirt for every free throw made during conference play to youth groups in the MAAC community. And this season, heading into the MAAC tournament, over 2,500 free throws had been made. Thank you very much, Arrow Postal. Antoine Pearson, nice crossover, but Haddix with the block. Dubois again misses from right in close. And a big miss for the Jaspers.
Missed opportunity inside. Can't get a better look than that.
Tough entry pass. Dubois knocks it away, and Haddix does all he can to try and retain possession, but it's a jump ball held. Well, in the first half, there were opportunities for Manhattan to hustle. They didn't show it sometimes. This time, the defense gets back and makes it tough for Siena to score. We've got ourselves a ball game here in Bridgeport.
Success comes true.
St. Peter's College, success is a team effort. St. Peter's College, education one student at a time.
The Manhattan Jaspers in the ball game after falling behind by double figures earlier in the second half. The Jaspers have stormed right back. MAAC fans, get in the game. Play the MAAC Text to Win Trivia Challenge powered by Verizon Wireless. Just text the word MAAC to 2244 from your Verizon Wireless phone for your chance to win prizes only from Verizon Wireless. Verizon Wireless, we never stop working for you. Good crowd here for the afternoon session of what is a 4-game day. Coming up next, Canisius and Marist, and then the nighttime doubleheader of MAAC quarterfinals coming up.
4-game day for us, for the television crew, a 6-game day as we take a look at our stat track.
That's true. They did 4 women's and 2 men's games yesterday, and the crew doing 4 men's and 2 women's today.
See Manhattan taking advantage of the three-point shot. 9-3, second chance points. Manhattan starting to be more effective in the paint. Talking about points in the paint, this is really the thing that's turned things around for Manhattan here in the second half. You saw they were dominated in the first half inside in the paint, but they've had the upper hand here in the second half.
Crawford picks up his 4th personal foul, and so Barry Rorson will try to protect his freshman from Harlem. After the Hasbrook free throw, Ferguson checks in and Crawford takes a seat.
That's a factor because Crawford's been effective getting himself to the rim. He's had a good game so far tonight. He's going to have to sit down with that foul trouble here for a bit.
Hasbrook now with 12 points. Siena has 4 players in double figures right now, but they can't shake the Jaspers, who just keep hanging around. Again, Siena swept the season series from Manhattan. The Jaspers came out here this afternoon and scored the first 8 points of the game, seemingly catching Siena kind of on its heels, and perhaps going to be able to knock off the higher seed. We've yet to see an upset so far in the MAAC tournament. Manhattan trying to provide the first. Haddix into traffic, has it taken away by Dubois. Pearson, nice drop off pass. Ferguson, who found the bottom of the backboard with his shot, and then he was fouled.
Patience by the young freshman point guard Pearson, not giving up the basketball too early, instead hanging on to it late enough to have the nice dump off to Ferguson. It started with the solid defense at the other end. Arturo Dubois aggressive, getting his hand in there. And here's the patience late by Pearson. You see the body contact down low initially against Ferguson, but he stays with it long enough to get himself an opportunity from the line.
Well, Ferguson is a 6'4" freshman from Queens who attended Berkshire Prep School before signing with Manhattan College.
As you mentioned, Doug, one of 7 freshmen on this Manhattan roster. We talked about the young Siena Saints and the production and productivity that they've given Fran McCaffrey. Barry Rorson's gotten a lot of good play from his freshman class as well. And again, a freshman class that was basically all signed after he got the job in April and May, and that is difficult to do.
Hasbrook draws another foul again, this one on Dubois. And so Hasbrook, who just made a couple of foul shots, will go back to the line to shoot 2.
And it's important against a shot blocker like Dubois to go right at him. Don't give him an opportunity to react and get a hand on it. Good solid defense by Dubois up top. He got the ball, but the body contact down low because he went right at it.
Personal foul number 3 on Dubois. And you see the disparity in free throws shot, but that quite often, as we've talked about, goes hand in hand with the fact that Manhattan's been settling for the three-point shot and not driving to the basket like Hasbrook has been doing and Haddix has been doing.
A lot of times it's a matter of style of play, as you're talking about, and sometimes you see that and say, oh boy, they got a bad whistle. No, that's exactly what Siena does. They pound the ball inside. They get a ton of touches in the paint. One of the reasons why they get themselves to the foul line so often.
Dubois, Austin, Pearson, Booley, and Ngarndi on the floor for the Jaspers in their road green uniforms here in Bridgeport, Connecticut. And a reach-in foul on the drive. Ryan and Moore were defending, and it's going to go against Ronald Moore on the reach-in. Foul number 2 on the freshman point guard, who has had a quiet night scoring the basketball, but he has 8 assists, setting up his teammates.
As you said, his nickname is Maestro, directing everything out there. And you've got 8 assists. Certainly you're not thinking about scoring the basketball first. Instead, you're worrying about directing your teammates and putting the basketball where guys have an opportunity to score it.
Terrific drive by Pearson. He got around Franklin and then went up and over Haddix for 2.
A nice drive and terrific finish as well.
10 points for Antoine Pearson. The Jaspers now have 3 players in double figures. Crawford and Austin 14 apiece.
So the freshmen from Manhattan have had the better go against the freshmen for Siena. Once again, Manhattan doing it with their defense. Devin Austin, a guy who brought energy right from the start of the game, able to step in, pick up the charge. Here's this nice drive by one of those freshmen, Pearson. Not just the nice drive, but a terrific finish in traffic against a much bigger and stronger Michael Haddix.
Well, he got that first quick step around Franklin and had the corner. And like you say, there were 3 parts to that basket, and all 3 were pretty impressive. Dubois in the paint. It's a 2-point ball game.
Arturo Dubois, where art thou? Well, he's been part of this game. Hasn't been part of the Manhattan play the last couple of games, but given some good energy and some important scoring inside in the paint.
Good spacing for Siena, and you get an open look. Hasbrook knocks it down. He's all smiles, and the lead is back to 5.
And how many times have we gone 2 to 5? It's at least 3 times where Siena's been able to hit a timely 3 after Manhattan's gotten themselves back within a bucket.
Hasbrook now leads all scorers with 16 points. He can be a prolific scorer. He went for 36, his career high back in January against Ryder, and so this 3, like you say, Rob, turns the 2-point lead back into a 5-point lead with 5:20 left to go in regulation. Austin left alone from the foul line. He knocks it down.
And you can't leave him alone from the foul line. He's got the ability to score. It went for a career high 38 earlier this season against Ryder, so you can certainly see that he can score the basketball.
Well, in that ball game, he went 7 for 12 from beyond the arc. That was a nice looking 15-foot shot.
So the 2 X factors for Manhattan have certainly showed up tonight. Devin Austin and Arturo Dubois, the forgotten men the last time these two teams played, as they were basically non-factors, have become big-time X factors here. One of the reasons why the Jaspers have been hanging around.
Franklin called for the rebounding foul off the Hasbrook miss. That's number 2 on the freshman forward from Reading, Pennsylvania.
Barry Rorson's team has played with energy right from the get-go after that terrific start, and they've been playing loose as well.
That was the 7th team foul against Siena, and so Devin Austin goes to the other end to shoot a 1-and-1.
It's not as if necessarily that Siena's played tight. They've hit a couple big threes to answer every time that Manhattan has gotten the lead down to 2, but certainly Manhattan has played a little loosey-goosey, and sometimes you need that. You know, firing away threes from a team that really doesn't take much advantage of the three-point line throughout the season. Talked about it a few times. Average less than 4 threes per game. Barry Rorson's team already has 9.
Checking to see the officials are whether it was a loose ball foul. And while we watch Barry Rorson talk in the huddle, the officials are taking a look at this.
While trying to figure out who should be on the line as the foul shooter. Can't go to the replay to figure out who fouled them, but you can go to the replay to see who should be shooting the foul shot. That's what Joe DeMayo's over there taking a look at right now.
Well, the 2 options, if it's Austin and Booley, both good free throw shooters. Austin at 82%, Booley 72%. So it'll be Devin Austin, and Barry Rorson, before the officials went over, was yelling to one of his players, and I'm guessing it was Devin Austin, get on the line, get on the line. He knows who's got the better percentage. That's good coaching right there.
Good bit of officiating as well as Joe DeMayo and the crew make sure that the right guy's on the line. And if you're Manhattan, that is the right guy.
No doubt about it. Austin with 16 points to lead the Jaspers, and his 82% percentage, well, out the window.
So far for being the right guy, if you're a Manhattan fan, came up well short on that foul shot attempt.
Siena's lead is 3. Ryan off the screen and roll has Ngarndi on him. Foul on Dubois, trying to deny the post. And so Michael Haddix will shoot a 1-and-1.
With that high ball screen with David Ryan, it becomes more pick and pop as Ryan steps back out to the three-point line. And by doing such, it gives him good spacing, allowing Haddix to post up inside. Silly foul by Arturo Dubois, and every time he fouls, the one thing you know about Arturo Dubois is then he immediately looks to the officials as if to say, I've never fouled. ever. He's big. He throws his body around. This is what we were talking about, being a forgotten man the last 2 times. And give him and Barry Rorson some credit. Certainly Arturo Dubois has been in the doghouse because he's putting himself in the doghouse. Hasn't played well, but able to give him good productive minutes so far here today.
And he will stay in the ball game after having picked up his 4th foul with 4.5 minutes left in regulation. Booley goes away from the screen and is fouled on the lefty runner. And so Booley, who as mentioned a moment ago is a pretty good free throw shooter himself, will go to the line, and you see the look of bewilderment on the face of Hasbrook. He's just picked up his 3rd personal foul.
As you said, Doug Bully didn't accept the high ball screen. Instead, turned the corner to go to the right side, away from his natural strength as a lefty. It happens, the defense expecting them to come over top of that screen, as Dubois still in the game with those 4 fouls, but the defense jumps to the ball screen instead, take advantage of the driving lane on the right side.
Manhattan within 2.
Here's where now Siena, what you can't do is start playing tight. Certainly came into the game as a prohibitive favorite, despite the fact that this was a 4-5 game. Can't worry about that. You just can't play tight. You just got to start playing and making plays.
Well, Siena won each of the 2 regular season meetings with Manhattan by double figures. Barry Rorson said, we've been manhandled twice. Not here this afternoon. The Jaspers with a chance to either tie or take the lead.
Here's where now they just want to grind it out, coming down the last couple of minutes. If they can shorten this game by taking the shot clock down, that plays into their favor.
They're trying to deny the pass to Austin, who is clearly the go-to guy in crunch time. Meanwhile, another one of the freshmen steps up with a huge shot. Pearson ties it at 66.
Weintraub, certainly the biggest Manhattan fan, and he's got a big smile on his face. The Jaspers got themselves right back in this ball game.
Hasbrook fouled by Ngarndi. 4th foul against Guy Ngarndi, and Siena will have a chance to retake the lead from the foul line when we come back. An official timeout here at the arena at Harbor Yard in Bridgeport, Connecticut. The Jaspers, led by their head coach Barry Rorson, looking for the upset.
This is Siena, a college that builds competence and character, where you're part of a team, a place of academic rigor that builds leaders, offering opportunity and values that prepare you for change, leadership, and life. The tradition, the community of Siena, educating for success, one student at a time.
The #1 fan of the MAAC, Ronnie Weintraub, forever the optimist when it comes to the Manhattan Jaspers. Doesn't mind seeing Fran McCaffrey trying to fire up his troops. Things have gone south in a hurry. Siena had a 10-point lead earlier in the half, but the Jaspers have hung around, chipped away, and with a combination of factors, Devin Austin and company have gotten under the skin of the Saints. And so now with 3:10 to go, it's a sprint to the finish. Barry Rorson's club looking to pull what would be a mild upset.
Playing with a lot of confidence, playing loose, not worrying about stuff. They've certainly been able to dominate the paint. A lot of that has to go to Arturo Dubois. Stepped in and had a big second half. His presence in the paint has certainly made a big difference.
Siena has not surrendered the lead to the Jaspers since the 8-minute mark of the first half. But again, the Jaspers hanging around. A 3-pointer here would give Manhattan the lead off the 2 free throws from Hasbrook. Little 2-man game. Dubois double teamed. Out to Pearson, who's left alone. Well short on that. Austin can't tie it up. Haddix rips the ball away, and then he is fouled. And if it's on Dubois, that's number 5. We'll see. Austin's trying to lobby to say, hey, call it on number 23, would you?
Austin with a good opportunity, effort on the offensive glass, but unable to convert. Perfect wide open look from Pearson, who comes up short. There's Austin to come up with the rebound, and he comes up short on a second chance opportunity.
And it is indeed the foul on Austin, his 3rd. So Dubois stays in the ball game with his 4 fouls. And as you see, Haddix, who has had a quiet second half, at the line.
Again, a lot of that has to do with the fact that Dubois played good minutes here once he got himself into the game at about the 13-minute mark. Graham McCaffrey's big guy, and Haddix hasn't had the same room to maneuver inside in the paint that he had in the first half.
And then he misses a couple of big free throws, and the Jaspers get it back down by 2. Pearson, Booley, and Austin around the perimeter, and then the big lineup for the Jaspers inside with Ngarndi and Dubois, who's got the basketball now.
And he's been content to pass it out off a double team.
Booley gives the Jaspers the lead.
Now, certainly the story has been the three-point shooting for the Jaspers. 10 threes on the game. Booley with 4 of those.
69-68, Manhattan with its first lead since midway through the first half. Hasbrook over Dubois. Has it rim out. Rebound loose. Hasbrook comes up with it for the Saints. Ronald Moore, who has yet to score, gives Siena the lead back.
All season long, he's had big shots for Fran McCaffrey's team. None bigger or more timely than that. How many times have we seen a timely three from the Saints to bail them out?
So Siena back on top with 1:35 to play in regulation, and the Jaspers use a timeout. Well, we've been talking about the terrific freshman guards. On one end, it's Patrick Booley to give the Jaspers the lead, and then Ronald Moore answers back at the other end.
Well, shooting it with a lot of confidence. Both young guys stepping right in, hitting big threes late in the game.
What's on the line here? A spot in the MAAC semifinals tomorrow. The winner of this one will take on the top seed Marist or Canisius. Canisius, the number 8 seed, won its first round game last night, 62-48 over St. Peter's. And so the Griffs, who split with the Red Foxes during the regular season, will be coming up next to get the winner of this one.
And Doug, we've been talking about it. If you're going to advance in conference play, come tournament time, you need that senior leadership. But at times, you've got freshmen who aren't worried about anything, not worried about, hey, is this a good shot to take or not? Both freshman guards able to step right into three-point shots. And we've said Siena 7 for 12 from beyond the three-point line. Timely threes.
There you see the timeouts remaining. The possession arrow in the favor of the Jaspers, who have the basketball now.
And Manhattan's been able to play through Arturo Dubois. Not necessarily the guy who scored it, but he's gotten touches on most possessions.
Dubois has been a steadying presence with 8 points and 8 rebounds this afternoon. Pearson, tough shot. Comes up short, and the shot clock violation. He didn't catch the iron, and so the Saints defense holds.
Well, he turned the corner off the high ball screen as Haddix was able to hedge out. That's when you got to find the open teammate. But the size of Haddix got in the way, was unable to figure out who's open in the post.
Crawford takes a seat for the Jaspers, and Garndy comes back in. A little offense-defense here with just over a minute remaining. Hasbrook fouled just over the timeline. Pearson and Austin were after him.
And that's a freshman mistake. Instead of giving up the foul there, you got to force Siena, who has struggled a bit coming down the stretch to execute, to score the ball. Instead, you see the hand check out of the half-court trap. Pearson with a freshman mistake. You got to make teams earn buckets late in the game. You can't give them easy opportunities from the line. Hasbrook's been there all game long, and he's taken advantage. 10 for 12 from the line.
He's got a quick release at the line, catch and shoot, and it's been effective here this afternoon. 20 points to lead all scorers. That foul on Pearson was his second, by the way, Rob.
So quick, in fact, they can't get the sub in because he gets the ball out of his hands so quick from the line.
Barry Rorson's Jaspers back down by 4. Pearson lets the ball just roll because the clock won't start until he touches. This is quarterfinal action of the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference Tournament in Bridgeport, Connecticut. Along with Rob Kennedy, this is Doug Sherman. Glad you could be with us for the Jaspers and the Saints, who are playing a thriller with the winner to go on to the MAAC semifinals. 15 seconds on the shot clock. Austin with a long three-point shot. And the Jaspers have answered right back to make it a one-point ball game.
Well, it took a while to find a good shot, but when they did, certainly Manhattan able to convert. The three-point line has been a huge factor for them. We said it was fool's gold there for a while. Knocked down 6 out of their first 10, went cold. Well, guess what? They've gotten hot late once again. You see the defensive rotation a little late, getting to Devin Austin, who has stepped up and had a big game. He and Dubois, the two X factors, have delivered big time here from Manhattan. Once again, if you said to Barry Rorson earlier today, if you said, hey, I'll give you an opportunity to be down 1, even though Siena has the basketball with 41.5 seconds left, I'm telling you right now, he would have signed for that in a heartbeat.
Absolutely. Rorson said earlier this week in regards to the 2 previous meetings this year with Siena, quote, they've had their way with us twice. This copyrighted telecast of the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference may not be retransmitted, reproduced, or rebroadcast without the express written consent of the MAAC.
Now a 6.5-second differential between shot clock and game clock. So again, if you're Manhattan, you've got to defend. You don't necessarily have to give up the foul. Instead, defend it and then finish the play off on the other end by rebounding the basketball.
So now here in crunch time, you've got Ronald Moore, the freshman point guard, with Kenny Hasbrook, the sophomore 2 guard, handling the basketball.
And Manhattan, as they have done much of the second half, out of their half-court trap, back into the solid man-to-man.
In tight game situations like this, it's typically Hasbrook who makes things happen.
And Bully, the best defender from Manhattan, trying to keep the ball out of his hands.
Looked like a clean block by Austin up top. Instead, the whistle, and Haddix will go to the line for 2.
That's an anticipation by the officials. Terrific defensive play right there. You can't guard it any better. Haddix came wide open because 2 defenders went running at Hasbrook out on the perimeter. Great defensive rotation by Austin, and that is a clean block. Missed that one. Tough time and situation to anticipate the contact before it gets there.
No doubt about that. And Haddix, who just missed a couple moments ago, makes a big one here to make it a 2-point ball game. It is indeed nail-biting time on the Siena bench.
And Haddix was wide open because Dubois was cheating out, trying to keep the ball out of Hasbrook's hands. Instead, he forgot about his own man.
That foul on Devin Austin, his 4th, so both Dubois and Austin have 4. And the fans who made the trip from Albany to their feet as they head to a timeout with 16.2 on the clock.
So certainly Manhattan has taken full advantage of the 3-point line as we go back right here. Tough break. Haddix comes wide open. Here comes Devin Austin out of nowhere. Comes up with a big-time block. As we said, tough time and situation to anticipate the contact. Quick whistle before there was any contact. Tough break for the Jaspers, but they can't worry about that right now.
Now they've got to overcome it.
Yep, they still have plenty of time. Again, the 3-point shot's been a huge factor. They've knocked down 11, but you do not worry about necessarily settling for the 3 right away here. If you can find a quick 2, especially if you can drive the ball to the basket, take that, trying to extend this game.
Do you want the ball in Pearson's hands? Do you want the ball in Austin's hands? Who do you think should have the ball right now, Rob?
Certainly Austin's a guy who's made big shots coming down, but again, Crawford, a guy that can put it to the floor and get to the rim. I think you just got to play within what you've got, but go attack quickly. Can't take too much time.
Pearson with 10 seconds to shoot was backtracking.
And now you've got to settle for the 3. Can't be thinking 2 now.
Pearson for the tie. Can't get it. 2 seconds to go. Franklin comes down with it. And we've got a jump ball. The possession arrow goes with the Jaspers. So with 1.7 on the clock, Manhattan will get 1 more shot.
And I'll tell you what, Doug, the clock clearly stopped before the whistle. Nobody's looking at that right there. Now it's going to be a timeout situation. On that play, the clock stopped before the whistle blew. At least that's what it looked like from my perspective.
Well, perhaps we can get a look back and see and hear exactly what happened. Let's take a listen.
Barry Rorson in that situation now has got to set up a 3-point shot on the baseline out of bounds. Let's listen in. Absolutely. Wow. And I'll tell you what, the officials are not looking at it. Manhattan didn't realize that, but clearly, from sitting over here, sometimes you don't get it right. And clearly, to me, before looking at it at the replay, you could see that that's exactly what happened. Tell you what, tough break for Siena. Manhattan, they wanted that clock to start. Nobody at the Siena bench noticed it. That could become a huge factor. Still plenty of time with 1.7 seconds left. The thing that you've got to do is you've got to get timing correct coming down the stretch.
Great call, Rob. This game could be over.
Yep. You know, hey, Manhattan got a tough whistle on the other end with what was clearly a blocked shot. They got the benefit of a stopped clock before the whistle here to give them an opportunity. If they're going to force overtime, they're going to have to hit their 12th 3 of the game.
So now, who do you go to? Is there time to even put the ball on the floor, or is it strictly a catch and shoot?
It's got to be a catch and shoot. Devin Austin's a guy that's knocked down some big threes, and Bully, a guy that's just 28% on the season, but he's got 4 threes. Expect one of those 2 guys or both of those guys to run off screens for a catch and shoot three-point shot.
And defensively for Siena, what do you expect here?
Now, you're in man-to-man, and certainly you're overplaying those 2 3-point shooters. 28% on the season, but it's been huge for them today. They're going to need a 12th three to force overtime.
It's Crawford for the tie. Can't get it, and Siena survives and advances.
And that's the key for Fran McCaffrey's team. Certainly they did not play their best basketball, but they will be playing basketball tomorrow. And at the end of the day, that's all that's important. Manhattan got some extra time, couldn't take advantage of it. Tough deep three that doesn't fall, but certainly a terrific effort from Barry Rorson's team. Should not have been 1.7 seconds on the clock, but instead unable to take advantage of it. They're able to find 11 threes. They needed 12 to force the overtime. Came up empty.
Well, a great call by you, Rob, to catch that. It did not cost the Saints, though, as they walk off the floor with a 75-72 victory and a spot in tomorrow night's MAAC semifinals. They'll take on the winner of our next quarterfinal game, Canisius and Marist. We'll be back to Bridgeport right after this.